Hello everybody and welcome back to our presentation on the Genius Hour. Let's continue with the 8 lessons of Genius Hour, starting now back with Lesson 5. Now before we begin, Lesson 5 and Lesson 6 are together. They're meant to be kept together, and they both have to do with report style writing, which falls under that genre style writing category. What you're going to have to do in preparation for this lesson, prepare a newspaper or a magazine article that is geared towards reporting facts to the reader. It can be a topic of your choosing or have relevance with your previous topic in some capacity. So since we're working on gorillas, I have chosen the article on mountain gorillas from the National Geographic website. The hook. Talk to your students about the different types of writing that there are. The students should be familiar with report style writing already, as mentioned in the previous lesson, Lesson 4. The reason why is because report style writing appears at numerous points in my pedagogical approach to writing, so this is something that we are working on the entire school year. Report style writing is great at that 3rd grade level. Tell the students that we're going to read a report together to go over some of the details of report style writing as a class. Put the article up on a smartboard and have your chart paper ready to take down various notes as you read the article. While reading, draw your discussion towards the structure and organization of report style writing. After you read, work with your students to brainstorm, categorize, and mind map what is known about the topic, and then have students think about which audience the report might be addressing. Sequence the main ideas as well as the supporting details of the report as a class before you release your students back to let them work on their Genius Hour projects independently. Lesson 6, as I was saying, is a continuum of Lesson 5. In this lesson, though, you're going to want to prepare another article prior to starting the lesson. You could use the same one, but that might get a little boring. For this lesson, I've chosen the wiki on Coco the Gorilla from wikipedia.org. Ask the class if anyone has ever heard of a talking gorilla. What an excellent hook. I never thought I'd get to do that one. Lead the conversation towards how it could be possible for a gorilla to talk. You want to put, for the lesson now, you're going to want to put 5 different headings on a piece of chart paper that you should have prepped by your smartboard, ready to go before this lesson. These 5 headings are description, sequence, comparison, cause and effect, and problem and solution. If you're a French immersion teacher like myself, you will do that in French. Depending on whatever language you teach, you'll do it in that language too, I imagine. Next step, bring all the children to the smartboard again and throw up the article. We're going to read the article as a class, looking specifically at how all of the facts in the article fit into these categories. It is going to be important as we read to point out all of the different headings in the article, noting how the headings can serve as a navigational tool to help us read. Once again, dismiss your students back to their projects, remind the students that they have this class and the next class to complete their projects, and do instruct them to share their work with you using the Google Classroom setup after this class's work time is finished. That's so that you can take an assessment of the students' presentations up until this point. You're going to be assessing for their language use based on your lessons, as well as just generally seeing where they're going with their presentations. Okay, lesson 7. Lesson 7 is fun. It's the most fun of all these lessons because we get to use YouTube. For lesson 7, I'm going to be teaching students how to use Clip Converter as well as how to use other media objects and tools to get video into their presentation. So we've got Clip Converter and YouTube combinations set up here to teach them. As well, we've got the basic iPad with iMovie, or not iMovie, sorry, iPhoto setup that we can show them as well. By now, most of the students are going to have a good chunk of their presentation ready, and this lesson is for those students who are ready and willing to learn. To be real about it though, we're going to do this lesson for the entire class. Just make sure you restrict access to the movies to those students that are ready to go for a YouTube downloading session. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is pre-select a video that fulfills the ITSC requirements. Go over these again. For my video, I've chosen Touched by a Wild Mountain Gorilla, and that video can be found on YouTube. Research how to use Clip Converter and iPhoto prior to doing this lesson. You're gonna want to know how those two tools work. Have the video ready on the smartboard when the students come in, but through the maximized window screen so that the students can't tell that the video is from your presentation. Play the video, then minimize the screen to show the students that the video is inside your presentation. So this is a lesson about teaching them how to use Clip Converter. There's no special trick to it. Just get it up there on the smartboard, do it as a whole class lesson. Get the students to do it with you. Set up a mini group while the other students keep working on their media presentation. Always hands-on, always looking to scaffold, and know that this lesson is going to take a lot of scaffolding. When I'm scaffolding these types of lessons, I'm scaffolding to teach children how to teach other children. That's what I'm setting that up as, so that I don't have to do this 26 different times, but that the whole class can come together quite holistically and teach each other how to get this job done. Finally, Lesson 8. Lesson 8, you're going to want to have your PowerPoint presentation ready to go. Go over it once or twice so that you're aware, you know what comes up in it. Have it ready on the smartboard. Start the class at the smartboard and wait for everyone's attention before you begin. Using the chart paper, ask the class probing questions about what makes a good presentation. Speaking clearly, looking at the audience, not too fast, not too slow, knowing your presentation. Write these on the chart paper. Inform the class you're going to be presenting the class project on gorillas, and that you want the class to pay attention to how well you're doing with regard to what makes a good presentation. After the presentation, ask the class to assess your performance. Start with what I did well, and then suggest areas for me to improve. That's the class improving me as the teacher. If a student suggests that something should be improved, ask that student expansion questions such as why or how. Conclusion for this lesson should take a quick half an hour. Students who are not quite ready can have another half an hour to work on their project. Students who are ready should be given time to work on their presentations. You could start the presentations halfway through this lesson, and I would advise that after you start, or once you start the presentation, students that need a little extra time to keep working, just keep them in a different spot of the class. Maybe you have a breakout area in your hallway that you can have them work in too. That's also a possibility. Once you start the presentations, plan to run them for the next couple of days, just a couple hours a day, to get these presentations done and get everybody all finished with their Genius Hour. And that concludes our 8 lessons on Genius Hour. Join me next time. We'll be chatting about the assessment of Genius Hour and how we're going to tackle that.